The financial news murmured from the small television mounted in the kitchen corner, a story about corporate liability and a tragic outcome. I reached over and silenced it with a click. Footsteps echoed on the polished oak staircase. Alexander descended. He was dressed differently than usual. Instead of the sharp, tailored suits, he wore a cream-colored cashmere sweater. It softened the edges of his appearance, but only superficially. A chime from my phone shattered the quiet of the grand dining room. A text from the clinic's coordinator. Your gland resection is scheduled for 10 a.m. Please arrive 30 minutes prior for a pre-op assessment. I quickly dimmed the screen. I couldn't tell if Alexander had seen. When I looked up, his gaze was already on me. It was utterly unreadable. Feeling exposed, I offered an explanation. Just spam. Alexander gave a non-committal hum. I'm heading in that direction today. I'll give you a ride to campus. The offer was a shock. Alexander's time was measured in fortunes. As his ward, imposing on him for even a minute filled me with a deep-seated guilt. Yet the temptation was profound. Even though today's destination wasn't class. But seeing his face even for a brief, I'll be right there. I hurriedly stuffed the remainder of my bagel into my mouth, grabbed my backpack from the housekeeper, and followed him out. The car wound down the mountain road toward the city. Inside the sealed cabin, the faint, pervasive scent of an S-Class Alpha slowly wove an invisible net, ensnaring anyone with secrets. My instinct was to lower the window for air, but I found the controls locked. Is something wrong? Alexander asked, his eyes on the road. Everything's fine. I dug my nails into my palm, using the sharp pain to focus. The debate team has a retreat coming up. I'll probably stay on campus for a few days. The gland removal required recovery time. It was safer to avoid being near Alexander, though I knew his schedule was punishing. He likely wouldn't notice my absence. True to form, Alexander asked no further questions. He guided the steering wheel with one hand, his gaze briefly touching me before returning to the road. Nothing else you need to tell me. It was impossible to know if this was routine or a probe into my unusual behavior. No, sir. I'll let you know if anything comes up. A sudden regret for accepting the ride bloomed in my chest. Even without the subtle pressure of his pheromones, Alexander's mere presence, a single look from those cool gray eyes, carried an innate authority that demanded compliance. Lying to someone like that felt nearly impossible. The car stopped at the curb. Alexander reached over and straightened the collar of my jacket, then said nothing more. The door locks disengaged with a soft click. I stepped out, watching the black sedan disappear into the morning traffic. I fought the urge to touch the warming gland at the back of my neck. I'd taken a powerful suppressant that morning, a black market drug with harsh side effects but reliable results. It was supposed to mask my own scent and shield me from others. Maybe I'd built a tolerance. Today it had failed, leaving only a raw, exposed nervousness. A fear of being utterly transparent before a dominant S-Class Alpha. That unfinished news segment felt like a personal. Every employee at Vanguard Holdings learned the rules on day one. You could miss deadlines, you could make mistakes, but you had to control your scent. By any means necessary. Because the CEO, Alexander Thorne, was profoundly sensitive to all pheromones. Not allergic. Averse. A deep, cellular rejection. Vanguard's offices were perpetually ventilated, every floor stocked with industrial-grade neutralizers. At galas Alexander attended, organizers provided a private suite, a precaution against the S-Class Alpha departing abruptly if an attendee's control slipped. It was his absolute line. The Alpha who had taken his own life. I'd seen him twice. A department head, someone who had been with Alexander since he first took the helm, even before I was brought from the group home. If someone of that standing could meet such an end, what would happen if he discovered I was not the scentless beta he believed me to be? His promise, behave, and I'll provide for you, would shatter alongside the revelation of my omega nature. No, deception would lead to something far worse. I ducked into a coffee shop in the alley beside the university. Liam was just leaving. He slung an arm around my shoulders. We'd been friends since high school, and he was the only one who knew. "You look terrible. Are you really sure about this? For a guardian who barely remembers you exist?" Unlike the obedient facade I showed Alexander, I shrugged his arm off. "Yes, I'm sure." Even if my existence as his ward had begun as a tactic to spite him. After his parents died in the accident, the family board had used his aversion to pheromones, his apparent refusal to continue the line, as a weapon. To silence them, the 20-year-old Alexander had gone to a state home and picked a child at random. "Kai is my son now." It was staggering, that statement from a young man to a 9-year-old. But he had the power to make even that absurd pronouncement command respect. Sometimes I wondered, now that Alexander held uncontested power, no longer vulnerable to boardroom blackmail, how long would he keep me? Out of obligation or for appearances to avoid criticism. He could find 100 reasons to let me go, but that reason could not be because I was an Omega. To avoid detection, I had to be meticulous. I borrowed Liam's identity. His father was chief of staff at the hospital where I'd scheduled the procedure. Having a connection smoothed the pre-op checks, but the resection itself was denied. Standing under the harsh fluorescent lights, I stared at the detailed report form bearing Liam's name. The words on the page seemed to mock me. The hospital corridor buzzed with noise. Liam said something I didn't catch, then leaned closer. "Prime-grade Omegas are a protected class. With your levels, if my dad hadn't buried your file, you'd have been reported for mandatory registry and compatibility matching. No hospital will agree to a removal. Unless," he trailed off, hesitating. "Say it. Disable it. Render the gland non-functional." But no, that's too painful. My phone vibrated in my pocket. The name on the screen made a faint, bitter laugh escape me. I patted Liam's shoulder. "Then disable it." Nothing could be more painful than being discarded by Alexander. Liam stared, then hurried after me, muttering about insanity. I held a finger to my lips. Pushing through the hospital's main doors, I walked to a bench on the lawn, sat, and took a steadying breath before answering. I was playing basketball with a friend. "Is everything all right, Dad?" The title felt strange on my tongue, tainted by my hidden desires. But often, Alexander didn't even afford me the chance to use it. In the early years, still reeling from loss, he'd been consumed by corporate wars. The mansion was always cold. My sole occupation had been waiting on the foyer sofa for his rare, late returns. He'd often been drinking, yet even inebriated, he remained controlled, distant. I'd help him upstairs, run his bath. Only then would he briefly rest a hand on my head and murmur, "Good." Later, studies for me, the empire for him. Contact was scarce, mediated through his assistant. He was fulfilling his promise in the most literal sense. Provision. On the phone, Alexander responded to my excuse with a soft chuckle. A genuine sound that somehow chilled me to the bone. He rarely smiled. "Kai, when I said I was going your way this morning, did you wonder where my destination was?" My heart sank into ice. After a pause, his voice came through, measured. "Your university. The dean invited me to give a lecture on venture capital to the freshman class. I thought I'd surprise you. Pity you weren't there." Each word was a nail. Sitting in the sunlight, I felt plunged into darkness. Over the line, his tone grew colder. "As far as I know, hospitals don't have basketball courts. Your friend might be a liar." The voice began to overlap with reality. A heavy hand settled on my shoulder. The pressure was deliberate, like the voice itself, cultivated restraint masking something violent. Alexander was behind the bench, leaning close to my ear, finishing the thought aloud. "Kai is the liar." Liam jerked me up from the seat, uttering several shocked curses before positioning himself between us. From the moment that hand touched me, I was frozen, clutching the medical form. Trapped. There was no time to wonder why Alexander was here, or what infinitesimal odds brought a man with 24/7 private medical care to a public hospital. He couldn't possibly be here for me. His gaze moved past Liam, slowly tracing down from my face to the crumpled paper in my hand. It didn't linger. Instead, he pointed to my jeans. "You weren't wearing those this morning." A simple statement. Of course not. Those were from a trip to Milan, a rare gift he'd chosen himself. The housekeeper had laid them out. With Alexander present, I couldn't refuse. I changed to avoid getting them dirty. That hardly mattered now. The form was plucked from my numb fingers. He studied the wrinkled page, his elegant hands holding it steady. Time stretched, agonizing. My capacity for lies was exhausted. Under the weight of his presence, my mind simply shut down. If he discovered I was an Omega, a man of his control would likely choose a clean, dignified severance. A substantial check, a polite farewell. Or perhaps not. The outcome might mirror the ruined Alpha or be worse. Living or dying didn't matter much to someone who should have rotted in a state home. What I couldn't bear was the thought of seeing even a flicker of disgust in Alexander's eyes. His expression revealed nothing. "We're going home." He opened the passenger door for me. The drive back was swift. Inside the car, oxygen became scarce, slowly crushed out by the intensifying, unleashed scent of an S-Class Alpha. The suppressant had truly failed. I could smell my own scent leaking out. A crisp, clean fragrance of mint and winter air. A scent meant to clarify, now only fueling a deep, shameful heat. I hated this body. A prime-grade Omega was worthless if Alexander despised it. Worse than worthless. Alexander parked in the garage, unfastened his seatbelt. His lips moved, but sound failed to reach me. He glanced at me, then got out and walked into the house. I struggled to focus. The unfamiliar, aching need was overwhelming. The urge to touch him, to beg for his touch, I should have been able to control it. Touching the feverish gland at my neck, a wild impulse took hold. Destroy it myself. If it was gone, if I produced no scent, he might still keep me. Even as just his ward. A bodyguard opened my door. "The Mr. Thorne asked for you to come inside, young sir." The rush of cooler air revealed my clothes were damp with sweat. Some clarity returned, but my legs buckled as I stepped out, knees hitting the concrete. "Sir." The Alpha guard was pale under the pressure of Alexander's scent. "What did you do?" I've never seen his control slip like this. Through the haze, I grasped at a vital question. "Do you smell anything else? Besides his scent? Anything? From me?" No, the guard shook his head, confused. "His scent is too dominant. Nothing else gets through." Relief was a small, cold stone in my gut. After a moment, I went inside, changed, and walked to the end of the hall. The quiet room. It had been a long time. I opened the door and let the darkness swallow me. Moving to the center, I slowly knelt. The windowless space was lit only by the faint red LEDs of surveillance cameras in each corner. In the silence, my heartbeat was a frantic drum. My mind replayed the hospital scene. Liam's quick thinking, his dramatic performance pointing at the form. "Mr. Thorne, don't blame Kai. I made him come with me. He won't be with me because of your aversion. I was going to have my gland removed. We're in love." It was a convincing lie. Alexander had torn the form in two, his expression almost regretful. "A shame. It seems you can't be together." A prime Omega, unmated, was property of the state, subject to mandatory pairing. I owed Liam, an Alpha pretending to be an Omega, braving Alexander's wrath for me. I lost track of time kneeling. Pain began to radiate through me. Alexander's unleashed pheromones had nearly triggered a full cycle. To suppress it back at the house, I'd injected another dose of the illicit suppressant. The side effects, usually mild, now amplified by a second dose so soon, were excruciating. A wave of agony forced a low sound from my lips. I bit down hard, forcing my posture straight. "No." In this monitored room, Alexander could be watching. I couldn't show any weakness, but in the dark, senses magnified. The pain was consuming. Another stifled groan escaped. Click. Without, stark white light flooded the room. I squeezed my eyes shut against the glare. A voice, cold yet imbued with a deceptive gentleness, like a serpent's whisper, called out. Kai. If I could have seen my own courage, I imagine it would have been in pieces. Alexander had been here the whole time. Are you unwell, Kai? He approached, lowering himself to a crouch. Long fingers lifted my chin. His tone was a calm, hypnotic trap. His touch burned. Only then did I realize the room was thick with his scent again, but different this time. Not oppressive, but enticing, a dark undercurrent pulling me toward a fatal allure. No, I'm fine. Seeing his face, the pain momentarily vanished, replaced by a terror that my current state, flushed, trembling, screamed what I was. Kai, he murmured, the hand under my chin shifting to cup my jaw, his grip tightening. I wonder how I raised someone so dishonest. You were so much more obedient as a child. His thumb brushed my lower lip. What should I do with you? The clash of drugs and pheromones, pain and heat, drew another helpless sound from me. Alexander's eyebrow lifted almost imperceptibly. He released me, stood, and stepped closer. His torso was now level with my face, mere inches away. The warmth of his body radiated against my skin. I must have looked utterly broken. He shifted subtly, closing the last fraction of distance. My eyes were fixed on the polished metal of his belt buckle. I forced my gaze not to wander. I'd learned early that beneath the composed exterior lived something else. He had an appreciation for vulnerability. The day he chose me, there were healthier beta children available. He'd picked the bruised, fading one. When a doctor moved to treat me, Alexander had insisted on doing it himself, his touch deliberately firm on the wounds, his eyes noting every flinch. I understood then what pleased my benefactor, what would keep me from being returned to that foul, desperate place. I cleaned out a storage room and installed cameras. When I displeased him, I came here to kneel, sometimes on broken glass, sometimes on thorny stems. He always forgave me quickly after, personally applying salve to the injuries. His current implication was clear. My hands went to his belt, trembling so violently I couldn't manage the clasp. Afraid, Alexander covered my hands with his own, guiding them. The buckle released with a definitive snap. The leather made a sharp sound as it slid free. I held it tightly, offering it up with what I hoped looked like devotion. Father. Alexander's gaze fell to the belt resting in my palms, or perhaps to me. He was silent for a long moment. Is he your boyfriend? His voice was deep, devoid of inflection. Took me a second to understand he meant Liam. If you don't approve, I won't see him again. The pain was everywhere now, a million pinpricks. My knees threatened to give way. A strong hand steadied my hip. His next question was delivered with the same unnerving calm. Have you had sex? My grip on the leather tightened. I just wanted the punishment to begin. I have sat. The misunderstanding between sat and the act he meant was irrelevant. Lying about my posture under his night-sharp vision was futile. Father, please, forgive me. I extended the belt toward him. Alexander took it, his fingers wrapping around the strap. I braced myself, eyes closed, for the strike. It never came. I heard only the soft sound of the door closing. He had left me alone. He hadn't punished me. That was far more terrifying than any physical reprimand. The following days, I returned home instead of staying on campus. Alexander was never there, yet I felt the sword above me hanging by a thinner thread. At lunch in the student union, having just declined an Omega's advance, Liam set his tray down opposite me. You've been avoiding me. Did he do anything when you got home? I shook my head, silent. You could leave. You're a prime grade Omega. If you wanted someone older, I know grad students who are actually nice, unlike your emotionally constipated guardian. I set my fork down. Are you finished? My tone made him flinch. He busied himself with his food. As he took a drink, I asked what compounds can permanently disable a gland. He choked, spraying water across the table. I'd anticipated it and was already standing, backpack slung over my shoulder. I clapped a hand on his back. Do this for me, for old time's sake. And he was still coughing. Stay away from me. I don't want to upset Alexander. His frustrated shout followed me out. Kui, what kind of omega are you? Felt like a Cold War. Before, there were brief calls, messages through his assistant. Now, 2 weeks of silence. I didn't dare seek him out. Liam obtained the compound first. You're certain? Once you inject this, it's over. You won't be a beta or an omega. You'll be something else. What is so special about him? I turned the small vial of faint pink liquid over in my fingers, a perverse relief settling in. You wouldn't understand. Even I didn't fully understand. Why cling like a desperate animal to a man who showed so little? Because he was Alexander Thorne, the one who lifted me from the gutter and promised, without asking for anything in return, to care for me. That made it all necessary. You could use your scent, Liam suggested again. No alpha could resist a prime-grade omega in full bloom. No, I said flatly. He hates pheromones. Fine. Your funeral. As I was preparing the injection, Alexander's executive assistant called. Mr. Thorne has been admitted. At the hospital, my palm was sweaty around the vial of Gland destroyer. I shoved it into my pocket. The assistant explained that the fallout from the manager's suicide had escalated. Legal battles, bad press, even salacious rumors about Alexander's aversion being a pathology. Slander, the man said. The truth was, the manager, caught selling secrets, had tried a final gambit, trapping Alexander with an omega in full cycle. It had provoked a ruthless response that drove the man to despair. His family, coached by rivals, was now twisting the narrative. Mr. Thorne has been working around the clock. He collapsed just as his cycle began. My hand froze on the door handle. His what? The susceptible period. His system is under tremendous strain. You're a beta, you can go in. He needs someone. Without further, the assistant opened the door and gently pushed me inside. The private room was like the quiet room at home, dark, silent, built to contain even the most potent alpha emissions. Walking in felt like a death sentence. I hadn't taken my suppressant today, believing I was safe, believing the vial in my pocket was my solution. Now, merely standing inside the door, my legs felt weak. Kui, come here. A figure stood by the window, silhouetted against the heavy drapes. His posture was unyielding. The voice was a coaxing murmur. I took 2 steps and my knees gave out. Couldn't rise. Alexander turned his head. His gaze was the same as always, detached, commanding. Crawl to me. The words electrified my spine. I wanted to flee. My body obeyed him. The distance was an agony. The gland at my neck was burning, and with it, the old, nearly faded scar beneath my collar. A strange, overwhelming sensation, like a scorching tide, began to pull me under. I was going into cycle, fully, helplessly triggered. I looked up, desperate to see if he knew. His face showed only the strained ferocity of an alpha in the grip of his own biology. Perhaps he didn't care. Perhaps he had no restraint left. When I reached him, he crouched. In the gloom, his fingers found the heated gland, applying a pressure that was maddeningly light. He should press harder, I thought wildly. He withdrew his hand. Then his thumb and forefinger settled on my throat, just over my Adam's apple. Liam is an alpha. If you've been intimate, did he claim you? This felt like a nightmare where the truth was stripped bare and I had no defense. My gland was betraying me, releasing that hated mint cool scent into the air, where it tangled with his own sandalwood incense, something austere and commanding. A scent that clouded all reason. I heard my own voice, pleading. No, he hasn't. He's not my alpha. An alpha in this state was unreasonable, possessive, capable of destruction on a whim. The grip on my throat tightened slightly. Then who is? The words tumbled out. A surrender. You claim me. Please claim me. Alexander actually smiled. A slow, dangerous curve of his lips. He bent, his nose brushing my throat. Calling me father seems inappropriate now. The collision of our cycles was a blur of feverish skin and shattered control. Time lost meaning. His assistant knocked twice, only to be met with a guttural command to leave. When I finally surfaced, my body was held tightly against his, my neck throbbing with a deep, claiming ache. It was more violent than any beating I'd endured in the home. But it was from Alexander. That changed everything. He was still asleep, his breathing uneven, brow furrowed. Even in rest, he seemed tense. The marks I'd left on his skin were a testament to the chaos. I had never expected anything from him. I loved him, was obsessed with him, wanted only to be near him. To have dragged someone like him into this felt like my ultimate transgression. I had known his state. I had known an alpha's biological drive. And when I could have left, I had chosen to stay. When he woke, his aversion would be stronger. His hatred for me, the deceiver who had taken advantage, absolute. I disposed of the ruined clothes. In his closet, I found a change and put it on. When I brought a cool cloth to his forehead, I felt the heat radiating from him. It wasn't just the cycle. He was ill. The assistant's words came back. He had been sick this whole time. A fevered, weakened Alexander had been this formidable. The thought of him at full strength was terrifying. I tried to make the room presentable. The doctor who eventually entered gave me a long, knowing look. Are you quite all right? I'm fine. Please see to my guardian. His fever hasn't broken. The man's expression became even more inscrutable. The temporary mark on my neck and the mingled scents in the air made explanations pointless. My phone buzzed. Liam. I stepped into the hall to answer. His voice was frantic. It's bad. The archived report was flagged by my dad's superiors. They know I'm not the prime-grade Omega on file. Authorities are initiating a search. Is your gland? He went silent. Then his voice dropped to a horrified whisper. You're claimed. By an S-class. I knew it. You said it was Alexander, but how? I was grateful for my foresight in leading him to the hospital courtyard. It was him. He was vulnerable. I took advantage. Liam shook his head vehemently. No. An alpha that averse to scent would have been saturated with blockers. He wouldn't have let his guard down like that unless he wanted to. Don't you understand? All alphas are possessive to their core about what they consider theirs. Why do you think his assistant called you? I started to say it was because I was a beta, his ward. That day at the hospital, Liam pressed, you think he bought my story? An alpha knows another alpha. He didn't believe a word. The way he looked at you, it was pure ownership. Did nothing happen when you got home? I was blunt. He asked if we'd had sex. I said we had. The linguistic confusion didn't seem worth clarifying. Kai, I thought we were friends. You're trying to get me killed. He jumped back. Then, seeing my hand go to my pocket, crept closer. What? A cold dread settled in my stomach. It's gone. The vial. My God, you're still on about that? If you don't want to be hauled off for mandatory pairing, get him to claim you permanently. The idea was absurd. He had to see that. Liam shrank under my stare, babbling, or I could do it. A temporary claim, and then you could, and then he could what? The voice was icy, threaded with a dangerous languor. Alexander stood a few feet away, having closed the distance silently. Liam yelped, calling him a ghost before clamping his mouth shut. I forced the word out. Father. Alexander strode past me directly toward Liam.
I'm curious.
What would the eminent Dr. Vance think if he knew his son was propositioning a clearly claimed Omega? Should I contact the authorities? The last question was directed at me. My face burned. Liam stammered. No need. Congratulations to you both. Perfect match. He was gone in an instant. I couldn't meet Alexander's searing gaze. I had no idea what he was thinking. Regret? Disgust beyond words? He pulled the small pink vial from his pocket. Is this yours? Denial was pointless. I nodded. As my fingers brushed the glass in his palm, his other arm wrapped around my waist and pulled me against him. His scent was different up close. Not just the surface notes, but the raw, dominant core of it, overwhelmingly possessive. For a dizzying moment, the truth shimmered. I was his. The thought brought no joy, only a desperate plea. Father, please give it to me. If the gland is gone, I won't have a cent. I won't bother you. His body stiffened. The arm around me tightened like a vice. You want me to destroy what is mine? He murmured, his lips near my ear. Little liar. You haven't changed. Still so reckless. The vial shattered in his clenched fist. Glass bit into his skin, blood welling and dripping between his fingers. The sight transported me back to the first time, in the dusty garden of the state home. He remembered. My little liar, he said, his voice rough. To keep you from being taken. Shall I make it permanent? But you hate. He released me just enough to touch, through the fabric of the borrowed shirt, the old scar on my shoulder. His skin was still too warm from fever. You are the exception. Alexander laced his fingers through mine, a slow, deliberate interlocking. When I've recovered, we'll dissolve the guardianship. Epilogue: Alexander betrayal by a trusted relative. It clarifies things. My aunt, seeking shares, had me injected with a cycle inducer at a party. I was 15. The Omega they thrust into the room, her scent thick in the air, made my skin crawl with the loss of control. I detested it. I broke a crystal tumbler, used a shard to cut my palm, and climbed out a window while the Omega stared. I hid, waiting for my security team, fighting the chemical rage in my blood. That's when I saw the boy, filthy, dressed in rags. I'd never seen a child so neglected. The volatile reaction in me surged again. I told him to leave, afraid of what I might do. His eyes, they were startlingly clear, precious. But his intent was not. He lied. He approached, his small hand darting toward my pocket. Like my aunt. A thief. So I bit him. When he finally pulled the wallet free, I saw the blood blooming on his shirt. A strange impulse made me warn him about the tracker. He stared, dumbfounded. All his prior cunning vanished. He just looked lost. For years after, through the funeral, through the boardroom battles, I would find myself driving past that state home. I'd watch him from the car. He was always bruised. A beta unwanted. He endured it all with a hollow silence. Once, I saw older children forcing him to steal. He walked a long way, sat on a specific rock, then moved it and dug in the dirt. He pulled out a plastic bag. Inside were the foreign bills from my wallet. He didn't know their value, only that the zeros meant something. He held them, his small face a mask of conflict, then buried them again. My driver reminded me of a meeting. I was already 5 minutes late. I told him to turn the car around. At the home, the boy tried to hide when he saw me. I pretended not to recognize him. Is he a beta? I asked the supervisor. It didn't matter. Behave and I'll provide for you. The unspoken truth was simpler. I would provide for you regardless. Perhaps I do have an intolerance. But for you, it was never an issue.